All right, so now I'm going to talk about what actually happens after you buy a note. So everyone talks about due diligence and sources and all these other things, but what the heck do you do after you actually close on one? So that's what we're going to talk about right now. So the first thing, one of the main things that's going to happen, obviously, is the loan transfer. So you're going to have a servicer that you use. It may either be a go-to servicer that you use. I like to use Allied in Madison. If possible, it's kind of nice to keep the same servicer that the seller had. It can just create less confusion on the part of the borrower. And then usually if you don't have an account set up with your servicer, you'll want to get that set up ahead of time. And then generally there's some form that the loan servicer will want you to submit to help get the loan onboarded. This process takes longer than you would think if you're brand new to this. It's usually 4 to 8 weeks, usually closer to 4, but I have had a lot of situations where, the one loan servicer drags their feet in sending it over, and then the loan servicer gets to, one of the ones I use sometimes claims they can have up to 3 weeks to get things boarded. So that process can, sometimes they go fast and smooth. Sometimes they take a little while. You just want to kind of stay on top of everyone and manage the process and make sure that goes smoothly. Now, the seller is also going to send you the hard collateral file. The hard collateral file is super, super important. To some folks who are new, this is a little bit of a surprise because in this digital world we live in, paper's not as important as it used to be, but the world of real estate and mortgages can be, a little bit backwards at times. So having the hard collateral is very important. In some cases, you'll need to have that on hand in case you need to foreclose on the loan. If you were to lose the file, it's not great. I mean, there are ways to recover. You can create lost note affidavits and things like that, but it's not necessarily fun. So you'll need to decide where you want to store your hard collateral file. Some servicers will store it for you. You can use some other third parties like Casey Wilson or Richmond Monroe, or if you want to buy a fireproof filing cabinet or safe, you could store them there as well if you want to keep them at home. I would just definitely, whatever you do not toss them in a regular filing cabinet or a box in your garage because, God forbid, there's a fire or flood or something happens. It's going to be a really big deal if your hard collateral gets wiped out. I can't emphasize that enough. The next thing is insurance. So if the borrower does not already have proof of insurance, you want to set up what's called a forced place insurance policy. That's where the lender pays for insurance and then ultimately bills the borrower through the servicer. Making sure there's insurance on your properties at all times is super important. A while back, I had one of my properties I had a note on burned to the ground. Fortunately, in this case, the borrower had insurance. The insurance paid off the loan in full, so it was actually a win, oddly enough for me. But those things happen, and I know a lot of other note investors who have had properties burned down. It happens more than you think, especially if you start doing a lot of these over time. It's going to happen eventually. So make sure you have insurance policies in place if the borrower does not. Sometimes the loan servicers can just do this for you automatically. Sometimes the loan servicers can do it, but you need to tell them to. Or there are other third parties you can use as well. I use Rush Diversified. There are many others that are available. And next, if it's a non-performing loan, then you're going to have some kind of loss mitigation plan ready to go. Loss mitigation meaning what are you going to do to get this non-performing loan turned around? So who are we going to use to do the outreach? And what kind, if you're looking to do some kind of modification or forbearance trial payment plan, what's the structure of the deal? What's the range of parameters that you have to operate in? So firstly, deciding who's going to reach out. In general, I recommend having your loan servicer do this. In some cases, I've used third parties to do it. Um, if you're an experienced note investor and you understand all the laws and the rules, you can do it yourself. But by and large, I don't recommend doing that unless you have a lot of specific knowledge and you've had training and you know how to go about that. And then you're going to want to look at the financials of the deal. You probably did some of this when you were doing your pricing initially, but if you're going to offer some kind of deal or modification to the borrower, understand what the structure of that agreement, how you would like that to look, or if you're going to maybe offer cash for keys, what you think you might be able to offer and what your strategy is going to be for that approach. This is a good thing to be thinking about and have dialed in while you're waiting for this whole loan transfer to take place because you can't really start this process until a loan gets boarded, the hello goodbye letters get out, and then everything gets started. In theory, you can start it sooner, but I think it's better to start it after all those steps have happened because there's less confusion for the borrower. And lastly, just remember to do your best to be patient. The loan transfers specifically take a lot longer than I feel they should. I mean, I've had ones where I waited 2 months to get them done, which is unacceptable. So just understand it could take a while. It's probably going to take 4 weeks. Just keep track of what's going on, follow up. You may have to harass this, follow up with the seller to get the hard collateral files shipped. You might have some other things to do, like setting up insurance. Just you will get through the process. I see this happen a lot where someone buys their first note and they're just really aggravated by the process and how it seems drawn out. I know for me, I came to this from a stock investing background. I was used to, you go online, you click a button and the trade's on. Real estate, if you're already doing a lot of real estate, you already know this. It doesn't work quite that way. And notes in particular can be a little bit slow. So just kind of hang in there. It'll be worth it. So to learn more about note investing, I've got all sorts of resources at fusionnotes.com. And then also please subscribe here on the YouTube channel. Thanks.